The main thing in our bread and butter is this. And that's what we want to win all the time. And this is the one that we want.
The League Championship, which Liverpool won 18 times in their first 100 years. The club was formed in 1892 when Everton Football Club moved out of their ground at Anfield Road following an argument about rent with their landlord, the former Lord Mayor of Liverpool, John Holding. He made up his mind to keep football at Anfield by forming his own team, and Liverpool Football Club was born. They played first in the Lancashire League, with a team which had a strong Scottish influence, as players came from over the border. At the end of that 1892-93 season, as Lancashire League champions, Liverpool were elected to the second division of the Football League. And Holding was a proud man when in their first season, Liverpool won promotion by remaining unbeaten in their 28-match programme. This first Liverpool side came under the strong influence of Ulsterman John McKenna, a Liverpool businessman who was a guiding light in their early years. Liverpool won their first championship in 1901 with a team captained by Alex Raisbeck, a Scottish international centre-half who played nearly 350 games for the club. He was also a regular in this team, Liverpool's second championship side of 1906. Their goalkeeper in his first season at Anfield was a £500 buy from Chesterfield, Sam Hardy, who became a celebrated England international. As we've seen, Liverpool reached the FA Cup final for the first time in 1914 with this team. But the uniform of these pre-war men in red was about to change. The young men of Britain were on their way to the recruitment centres to enlist in the forces, and for 5 years, football was forgotten. After the war, this Liverpool team won the championship 2 years running, in 1922 and 1923. In goal was Elisha Scott, the great Irish international who played 467 games for Liverpool over a 20-year career. Scott's rivalry with Everton's Dixie Dean is part of Merseyside history. They often met in derby matches, with Scott, the best goalkeeper of his time, pitting his wits against the great centre-forward. Also in that Liverpool side were Ephraim Longworth, who captained England, and Don McKinley, who led Liverpool to both those championships. Gordon Hodgson's arrival at Anfield cemented a South African connection in the late 20s. Football on Merseyside was growing in popularity, and the first moving pictures of an Everton-Liverpool derby match came from Goodison in the 1927-28 season. This was the year when Everton won the championship thanks to Dixie Dean's record haul of 60 league goals, but they couldn't beat Liverpool. This match was drawn 1-1, and the rivals also squared the match at Anfield, this time 3-3. Crowds of 56,000 saw both games. Everton went on to win the championship twice more in the 30s, which was a moderate decade for Liverpool. Perhaps their reluctant little mascot realised the best was still to come when he shied away from the camera at Anfield. His tears would turn to smiles when he grew up to support the Liverpool of the future. Among the few highlights then were Gordon Hodgson's 240 goals for Liverpool, all but 8 in the league, a record which stood for 30 years. And winger Harold Barton's hat-trick in the derby match against Everton in 1933, which Liverpool won 7-4 at Anfield. 2 years later, they eclipsed their neighbours again, this time 6-0, and the cartoonist of the time depicted the feat of Fred Howe, whose 4 goals in a derby match were only equalled 47 years later by Ian Rush. In 1936, Liverpool lost their founding father. Honest John McKenna died at the age of 82. He was twice chairman of Liverpool and for 26 years president of the Football League. His massive contribution to the club's rise in prominence is placed on permanent record at Anfield. That same year, George Kay came from Southampton to take over as Liverpool manager. In the 3 seasons up to the war, his team included, top left, a certain Matt Busby at right half. In 1939, Kay signed a young Durham lad called Bob Paisley, who served in the Desert Rats during the war. Another Kay signing was the world heavyweight boxing champion Joe Louis, who came over from America on a promotional tour and signed amateur forms for Liverpool as a publicity stunt. During the Second World War, Liverpool was one of the cities to suffer badly in the Blitz. Football was secondary, but when the First Division programme was resumed, Liverpool were the first peacetime champions in 1947. They won their last match at Molineux, captain Jack Balmer scoring against his opposite number Stan Cullis, playing his last match for Wolves. But the new Anfield hero was Billy Liddell, whose first full season with Liverpool brought him a championship medal.
The 1946-7 was a great triumph, you know, because nobody expected us to win the league. And it was a wonderful season right through.
How readily do the names come back to you of that Liverpool championship side just after the war?
Oh, well, it's quite easily recognisable now. I mean, Siddle Sidlaw, the Welsh goalkeeper, Ray Lambert, Phil Taylor, Laurie Hughes, Bill Jones, Bobby Paisley, Barry Newenhays, Jack Balmer, and Albert Stubbins. Yes, he came down that particular year, and Willie Fagan and myself.
I'd have liked them to have been sort of younger. The war years, the 6 war years, took the cream off the likes of Phil Taylor and Jack Balmer and them, when they were absolutely in the prime then.
Jack Balmer and Albert Stubbins each scored 24 league goals. Balmer set a Football League record by scoring a hat-trick in 3 consecutive matches. Stubbins, signed from Newcastle, became such a Liverpool favourite that 20 years later his face appeared on the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper album sleeve, along with other influential figures in history. So congratulations were in order in 1947, but it would be Liverpool's last championship for 17 years. They were relegated in 1954, and the following season suffered the worst defeat in the club's history, when they lost 9-1 to Birmingham City at St Andrews. It soon meant a change of manager. Don Welsh, who'd taken over from George Kay, was now replaced by Phil Taylor on the right, captain of Liverpool's 1950 FA Cup final team. In Taylor's first season, Liverpool, in white shirts here, were chasing promotion.
Nice turn, Eric Anderson. Anderson, first bit of danger. A-court for Liverpool. And a lovely goal from Wheeler.
Wing half Johnny Wheeler was one of Taylor's first signings, but they lost that match 2-1 and missed promotion by 1 place in 1957. It was a similar story for the next 4 years. Liverpool were twice 4th and twice 3rd. Here, Fulham in white took the lead against the Reds at Craven Cottage through Tosh Chamberlain. But Liverpool came back strongly. Alan Aycourt made the running, and number 9, Billy Liddell, scored one of his 229 goals for Liverpool. Still in the first half, Liverpool took the lead. Aycourt, who was to play in the World Cup for England later that season, scored from a narrow angle at the end of this move to make it 2-1 to Liverpool at half-time. But in the second half, Fulham equalised. Liverpool's goalkeeper, Tommy Younger, had the ball kicked away from him in this scramble, and Johnny Haynes made it 2-2. That drop point was costly for Liverpool. They finished 2 points behind promoted Blackburn. A year later, Liverpool were back at Fulham, and this time collected both points. Aycourt again figured in the goal, scored by Louis Bimson 7 minutes from time. In November 1959, Liverpool signed centre-forward Dave Hickson from neighbours Everton. He responded with 37 goals in 60 matches over the next 2 seasons. Dashing Dave was a Merseyside folk hero, brave and aggressive. He scored from all angles. But the man who signed him for Liverpool, Phil Taylor, resigned for health reasons 2 weeks later. Now the stage was set for the coming of the Messiah who would change Liverpool Football Club forever.
Bill Shankly came to the club in December '59, and we're only again having a mediocre season in the second division. But once he joined the club, he made a big impact, not only on the club, he made a big impact on me. I only wish I would have been about 5 years younger when he arrived, because I learned more off him in 3 months than I'd learned in all the years previously on knowledge of the game.
Tell me about his impact. What specific things did he introduce or do or change at Liverpool that caused this transformation?
Well, immediately the training methods were changed. We'd done a lot of work with the ball, and then when he arrived, we played small-sided games, which he always liked to join in, and everything was made simple. And again, I was fortunate I could pick it up, and I was lucky in that way. He made the game simple, pass it to the nearest red shirt, get back when you've lost it and all that. And he cleared out a lot of players who, when I look back, was why we never got promotion from the second division for so long.
It didn't come straight away for Shankly.
Simpson onto it very quickly. Looking it across to Richardson. Might have caught the Liverpool side flat-footed. And there's the opening goal. And it's the outside right, Russell, who puts them 1-0 in the lead. Court to take the corner kick for Liverpool. Hooked into the centre. Nodded out by Summers. Comes to Hickson. Harrow. Harrow, the scorer. Trying to find Hunt. And Shaw making a bad miss, but they're inside, and it must be. Hickson, the scorer from that wonderful quick pass by Hunt after just 10 minutes play in the second half. It's Liverpool that go ahead by 2-1. And Cook was flicking it inside there for Harrower, and can he get his shot in? He has, and it's the third goal for Liverpool. 18 minutes into the second half is Harrower. Inside left of Liverpool to put them 3-1 in the lead.
The start of the 60s meant a new beginning for Liverpool Football Club, and also marked the retirement of the great Billy Liddell, their favourite son.
He was great to play with because he was a 100% player, and I think if he was playing nowadays, he'd be in the 8 to 10 million class for me, because he could run, he could shoot, head the ball, he wasn't afraid of anything, and he helped anybody on the pitch, on and off the pitch. Great bloke.
Shankly brought in reinforcements. Centre-forward Ian St John and centre-half Ron Yates came down from Scotland.
Now, they were the greatest signings, and they were the beginning of Liverpool. He was a tower, Yates, fantastic man. 6 feet, 1.5, the quickest thing in 2 feet, strong as an ox.
Liverpool returned to the First Division in 1962.
And St John up the front was making chances and scoring goals and making chances, and he helped to bring on Roger Hunt, who was also a great player.
Liverpool went up with Leyton Orient and beat them in the First Division.
St John. St John. John now going forward. Oh, a beautiful pass. Well, that's bad luck for Everton for Leyton Orient in some ways, because Lee actually cleared it half over the line, but Hunt following up, hammered it home to get his second goal from that effort by Melia. And again, St John being the man that sparked it off. We'll down the line to Callaghan. Callaghan punching it hard across the goal, comes to Hunt. Can he get his shot in? And there's it. Oh, that's his third goal.
Hunt and company were now in the hunt for trophies. 2 years after winning the Second Division Championship, Liverpool took the First Division by storm. They went into their last home match against Arsenal, knowing that victory would bring them their 6th championship and their first since 1947. 48,000 witnessed a 5-star performance. Alf Arrowsmith set up the first goal for Ian St John, and the Cop lived up to their growing reputation. Approach work by left winger Peter Thompson and number 9 St John enabled Arrowsmith to score the second himself. 2-0 at half-time. Number 11 Thompson had a fantastic season. He drove in the third goal shortly after the break. 5 minutes later, it was Thompson again. His shot left goalkeeper Furnell standing. Liverpool fans, young and old, knew they were watching the birth of a sparkling period for the club. The championship was confirmed when Roger Hunt, now closing in on Gordon Hodgson's scoring record, struck the 5th goal. All 5 came in the space of the first 60 minutes. Surely, this was one of Liverpool's finest hours. The first championship of the modern era. The first under Shankly. Anfield was agog. Arsenal were back at Anfield on the opening day of the following season, the first match ever screened by BBC's Match of the Day.
Hunt, it's a goal!
Roger Hunt and Liverpool were on the threshold of towering achievements magnified by a new television audience. They won the Cup in 1965, the Championship again in 1966, when their opponents Chelsea formed a guard of honour to applaud Liverpool onto the pitch at Anfield before their last home game. In the year that he helped England to win the World Cup, Hunt was in prolific form. He scored 30 league goals in 37 appearances, including 2 in this match, which clinched Liverpool's 2nd championship in 3 years and their 7th overall.
Leeds are in the lead and it's Hunt now. A goal! Here's Callagher finding Hunt.
For Shankly's Liverpool, it was an even more impressive performance than in 1964. This time, they'd virtually used only 12 players. Their endurance and fitness in a season when they also reached their first European final gave Liverpool an invincible reputation that was to form the backbone of the club's success for the next 25 years. These dressing room celebrations would soon become commonplace, and other managers, like Chelsea's Tommy Docherty, were left to admire Shankly.
We're happy about it, Tommy. It's amazing, even that game today. I mean, we could have lost the game and won the championship.
He's gone now, Willie. Good ball.
Shankly's training methods were paying dividends. The small-sided games he introduced were the foundation of Liverpool's playing pattern for years ahead. Pass and move, pass and move. He was fanatical about fitness, impatient with injured players, single-minded in his love for the game. There was no hiding place for the Liverpool players in Shankly's sweatbox.
And this is what we call the sweat box. And there's many functions we perform in here. But defenders and forwards alike play this. I mean, the player got the ball against the board from an angle. At the moment, Bob Paisley has him stopping it and then kicking. But although it looks simple, you can take it from me that this is hard work. And if you can go through this routine for 2 minutes, you're not far off being fit. Well, physically, they are very strong. I mean, we haven't got a weakling in the team as far as physique is concerned. But I don't think that they take any advantage of that. I mean, some of them play hard, yes. But I can tell you here and now that there never was a great athlete that wasn't physically strong.
He liked training. This was the beauty of it. He liked training. And his enthusiasm rubbed off on everybody else, or most of all. Those that didn't rub off on, away they went.
The 60s team had broken new ground. Now, Shankly brought in new faces.
Emlyn Hughes is debatable if he's a better player in the game. Oh, he's got everything. Ability, guts, he's quick, good in the air. You name it, he has it.
Tony Hateley was next.
And Hateley scored! Thompson once again for Liverpool. Liverpool tearing Chelsea apart now. Hateley scores! 3-0.
Hateley scored 27 goals in his only complete season at Liverpool. Then Shankly spotted an 18-year-old playing for Wolves.
Evans, oh, what a good goal!
Alan Evans became the first £100,000 teenager when he signed for Liverpool. But at Anfield, he had an impossible scoring act to follow. A goal scorer of a different kind was Leeds United's Welsh international goalkeeper Gary Sprake. He raised a chorus of careless hands from the Kop when he threw the ball behind him into his own net during a league match at Anfield in 1967. But it was not the most memorable own goal of that time.
Liverpool really chasing everything now all the time. They've grown so much in confidence since Hughes scored that goal. Thompson. Yes, own goal! Sandy Brown! And he must wish the ground could open up.
Shankly's team went 7 years without a trophy. The signing that helped change all that took just 12 minutes of his debut to get noticed.
Too many run, that's Keegan. Keegan with a chance, and he has scored! Kevin Keegan has scored!
A year later, Liverpool embarked on a championship season.
Highway's pace. All is square, number 8. Gallagher is up. Highway over this side, here's Hall. One save, but Gallagher has scored. Lindsay. Cormac up. Great goal by Cormac. Gallagher. Hughes moving forward, number 6. Keegan going. Hughes!
Liverpool's 8th championship was in the air on Easter Monday 1973 when they beat Leeds United at Anfield. Lawler and Keegan set up the first goal for Peter Cormac, another astute Shankly signing, just after half-time. A packed crowd of nearly 56,000 saw Keegan virtually tie up the title with the second goal 5 minutes from the end. Leeds keeper David Harvey fared little better in front of the Kop than Sprake had. Shankly later led celebrations on the pitch. It was his 3rd championship and his last before he retired a year afterwards. Bob Paisley took over and reached new heights. His first year brought only a fair play trophy, but 6 championships followed in 8 seasons.
Liverpool breaking well here. Both Toshak and Highway, and now Case forward. That's for Toshak, and the cover was not on. Oh, what a simple goal. Taken by Kennedy. Thompson nearly made it. Toshak did. Keegan doing well. My word, how well he shook off Coleman. He's got support just inside from Highway, and Highway goes past 2 of them. There's a man on the far post. Toshak, hat-trick. Kennedy. And there's Keegan again, and he's onside. 4-0.
Another in-swinger coming up from Keegan. Toshak must be for Fair Club. And Smith read it so well. Ball for Toshak, who'll let it go. Fair Club. Good piece of football by 2 players, and the youngster scores in the end.
Toshak to Keegan, that was fine play. Highway now. 3 in the middle for him if he can pull it back. Toshak. 2-1. Keegan. Liverpool spreading out now. That's a fine ball for Kennedy. And what a fine goal! Hughes. 2 to his right. Keegan. Hughes again. It's a great move, this. Oh, yes. Emlyn Hughes. It's Kennedy, number 5. Turned through to him by Keegan. Fairclough on the far post, waiting. There he is!
Liverpool required a win or a low-scoring draw from their last match at Molineux to top Queen's Park Rangers. Steve Kindon put Wolves ahead, and Liverpool left it late.
Under 15 minutes left, and Liverpool still looking for this vital goal. Chipped up in the box, on by Toshak to Keegan, and the old firm have done it. 1-1, and that will be enough. Look at the delight on those faces of players and spectators. Neil knocking it in. comes sideways. Toshak taking his time, but using it to perfection. 2-1. Keegan. Liverpool ending the match and the season in fine style. Here's Ray Kennedy, stepped his man quite superbly, and what a lovely left foot to make it 3-1. The first two goals from the old firm of Keegan and Toshak, and the last one from Kennedy, who's made such an advance this season. The Kop spilling onto the pitch to celebrate the victory and the championship, and a championship won in style.
9 championships now, there was no holding Liverpool. They were out to emulate the 1923 side by winning the title 2 years in a row.
Ball goes up, one is Johnson. Toshak. Here's Keegan. Oh, slightly backward of McDermott. Murray changing his mind. Keegan couldn't get there. Callaghan, yes! Oh, there were bodies all over the place. Johnson. Neil has taken it well. McDermott. Hughes. Keegan. This is Kennedy. Keegan jumped well. Case.
The 1976-77 season ended in triumph. The red flag signalled championship number 10. Liverpool became the first club to reach double figures. This, as we shall see later, was also the season in which they won the European Cup for the first time. The modern Liverpool were crossing new frontiers. Although they lost Kevin Keegan, who left for Hamburg, they immediately acquired the services of one Kenny Dalglish, who, along with another Scot, would be a major influence in arguably the club's greatest championship team.
And still he's onside. McDermott this time. Souness! Brilliant goal!
Coming short, Booth bothering him, so Souness takes the gap behind the defence and gets in! On the attack, that's a fine ball, finds McDermott. Here is Ray Kennedy. Player into the gap, it's McDermott yet again. Dalglish, Souness, 3-1. Alan Kennedy, well that's not his better look, let's put it that way, but Dalglish is onside and can make it 4.
McDermott's in here. Dalglish. McDermott. Beckler. Oh, it's 2. Dalglish turning ball in. We've got back, but it's still Dalglish. Oh! Brilliant.
It was definitely the best side I ever played in at Liverpool. That season we scored 85 goals and only let in 16. And you'd have thought they were great defenders or great attackers in that side, but for me the best part of the side was the middle of the park. Case, McDermott, Souness and Ray Kennedy. Great balance, tremendous players, they could all score goals. Apart from Terry Mack, they'd all get their foot in, and that was certainly the hub of the team. But the great story about that was in the dressing room after we beat Aston Villa to clinch the title. The year before I'd played in the European Cup final, but everybody kept saying the league championship is the one to win. Without a shadow of doubt, that is the creme de la creme in English football. So, of course, I was sitting in the dressing room and I'm waiting for the lapse of honour, I'm waiting for the champagne to come out. Suddenly, the face appears at the door, it's Ronnie Moran. He's got a box in his hand. He just said, "Who's played 13 league games here?" So, I, being a bit naive and you, put my hand up and he just gets the medal and threw it to me. And then starts throwing the medals out. Goes back out the door, comes back in again and says, "Well done, enjoy your summer, it'll be even harder next season."
Harder or not, Liverpool won their 12th championship in 1980. Again, they finished in style against Aston Villa.
Dalglish. Owen Rimmer came. McDermott. Johnson. Oh, what a start.
That's Geddes up. It's going to come to Hurd. And there goes Geddes again. Linton. Oh, it's an own goal by Abby Cohen, isn't it? It's gone in at the far post. Johnson making space. Finding Dalglish. Hung on well there. And here comes Abby Cohen. Oh, I say! At the same end, he's got one back. Dermot. Kennedy with Lee outside him. Sooners wants it played in. There he is. Touched off for David Johnson. Oh! That's the championship. Taken by McDermott. Kennedy's coming in here. Oh, it's in!
Ray Kennedy, converted by Paisley from striker to midfield, became one of his most valuable players.
Out of them all was the one that they were more concerned about than anybody in my time as manager and playing in Europe and that. I had more people inquiring about Ray Kennedy than any of the others.
In 1981, Ray Clements left Liverpool after 14 years to join Spurs. His too had been a colossal contribution. His 5 championship medals, a then Liverpool record for a goalkeeper. His replacement would go on to beat that. Bruce Grobbelaar, after a mixed start, would share in 6 championships. His first came on the day that Clements returned to Anfield with his new club. He got a wonderful ovation from the Kop, but little sympathy from his old teammates. Liverpool, needing to win to tie up their 13th championship, were a goal down at half-time.
In comes Lawrenson. Dalglish. Who's up there? Oh, Dalglish is through. Kenny Dalglish. Miller's header. It's going to come to Whelan. And Whelan makes it 3-1.
Paisley's captain now was Graham Souness, who would lead the team to 3 consecutive championships and later manage the club. They won that 1982 title by 4 points, but the following season, Liverpool was simply a class apart. The margin this time was 11 points, with Everton, among others, taken apart by Alan Hansen and Ian Rush.
Rush to his left. Onside, Ian Rush. 1-0 Liverpool. Brilliant goal. Marvellously made by Alan Hansen. And put away by Ian Rush with the minimum of fuss. There's Hansen. Rush. Deflection. Has taken it in. Oh, he's got free, Dalglish. And put in by Lawrenson. What a simple goal. And Liverpool here have got Everton on the rack. Dalglish. Look at that. Rushes through. This could be history here for Ian Rush if he scores. He's at the post. He might score now. He has. And it's the first hat-trick in a Merseyside derby since 1935. And this is where Liverpool have made the game look so easy. They've come out of defence, got into their stride, and seem to get an extra man through. It's Ian Rush. Can he score his 4th? It looks as though he has. Yes! 5-0.
Liverpool's 14th championship was Bob Paisley's 6th and last.
He had a happy knack of picking the right players, putting them in their good positions, and he sold a player at the right time. And he had 9 good years. I mean, great years Bob had. And again, what I said, he had good players. He bought good players and got rid of the players when we'd had enough out of them or they weren't doing the job for us. Joe took over and he was 62, I think, just coming up 63. And I don't think he really wanted to take over completely, but again, with being with the club for so long, he stepped in and he had 2 great years at the club. His first year, he won the treble, which it never really mentioned about. He won the league and the league, the European Cup and the Milk Cup. But again, this is the policy of the club, and Joe was one of these, and he didn't talk about successes because it was just a job to do. And you can sit back now and look back, well, what did we win? And I'll say he won the treble in his first year, and that's a great achievement, which, as I said again, goes unnoticed in with a lot of people. That it's never mentioned.
And here's Ian Rush. Another chance for him. Williams couldn't get to him, and that's 1-1. And Rush was on the far side. Oh, what a tremendous shot. Oh, and he's hovering again. There is Rush.
Ian Rush rifled 32 First Division goals as Liverpool powered to the Championship for the 15th time. But Joe Fagan resigned as manager a year later following the Haysel tragedy, and Kenny Dalglish at the age of 34 took over as player-manager with immediate success.
We just carried on as normal, and Kenny was great to get on with. He was great as a player, and again he was still player-manager then, and so he went through the mill every day like all the players, and he did everything what the players did. And we carried on with our same training routines and the team meetings. Kenny took them, we picked the teams, Kenny made the final say, and again he picked the right teams because he won a double.
Walsh, yes. Walsh always looks capable of setting something up for Liverpool. Craig Johnston's cross. Rush, yes. Oh, it's a bit short, and here's Walsh. No doubt now.
And Grobbelaar stretching and in. That was Hansen heading down, Thomas miscued, and Rush played it back, and Whelan fired it, and it came to Mulvey, and that's the equaliser. Oh, a misjudgment by Perryman, and here's Whelan. Rush is through the middle, danger here, and Rush, and a goal! They have done it! Dalglish, there's Mulvey, and now Johnston, and he fires it across McMahon! Gillespie, Becklin again. Whelan. And Dalglish is in here. Yes! The player-manager scores the goal that may edge Liverpool nearer to their 16th championship.
Which was followed a week later by the FA Cup and the double. After a blank year in 1987, Dalglish splashed out on Peter Beardsley from Newcastle, an England World Cup forward. As was Watford's exciting winger, John Barnes. For Hansen, they made the game easy.
We played some great stuff in the league. Kenny had played his part, and he bought Barnes and he bought Beardsley. Aldridge was already here. And Waco leads his record of going 29 league games undefeated. And you felt that season that any time you gave the ball to Barnes, he was going to do something, you were going to score a goal. And we got on a roll, and every time you took your position in the park, you just expected to win.
Barnes plays it back to McMahon. Nichols made a good forward run, and here he is, Stevie Nicol. Oh, yes! Now Johnston. Forward by Gillespie. Klein, guilty of holding back Beardsley, but he's through anyway. And Beardsley scores his first league goal for Liverpool. Number 7, Beardsley. And there goes Barnes again. Danger here. Aldridge far post. John Anderson and Steve Nicol. What a simple goal for Liverpool, and Steve Nicol puts it away with some aplomb. Lawrenson has now found room in the Newcastle penalty area. This is Venison. And here's Barnes. And Aldridge this time, 2-0. Onside, Beardsley. Nichols in the centre, completely unmarked as yet. There he is again. 3-0. 20 minutes gone in the second half. Newcastle United 1, Liverpool 3. And Aldridge releasing Nicol on the far side. Beardsley in the middle. It's still Nicol. He's gone all the way. And that is the hat-trick. Barnes cross. Oh, Craig Johnston. Oh, Byrne wanting a long time to clear that. He dwelt on it too long. Barnes. And Barnes again. 3. from Brock. He's got Beardsley going to his left, but still Barnes. That's a fabulous individual goal.
That's great from Barnes, McMahon. Barnes. Oh, lovely back heel. McMahon, Aldridge, good challenge. Beardsley! Oh, that's a lovely goal. That's a lovely goal.
Barnes took on Caesar. Still Barnes, brilliant. Houghton couldn't convert. McMahon, three in the way. Tony Adams ain't got a foot to it. Well, McMahon won that back wonderfully well. Beardsley. Oh, a goal for Aldridge. Right on half-time, it's John Aldridge. What about McMahon's contribution there? Absolutely fantastic. He won it back on the touchline, motored away, three facing him, into Beardsley. Lukic narrowing the angle at the near post, got a hand to it, but look at Aldridge. That's the poacher's position. Aldridge. Beardsley. Oh, brilliantly done by Peter Beardsley.
Championship number 17 was already on the cards when Liverpool, with a 1-1 draw at Derby, equalled Leeds United's record of 29 games unbeaten from the start of the season. Australian Craig Johnston was the scorer here. The 1988 team also produced what has been described as the most complete performance by a Liverpool side over those 100 years.
Here's to Wilson. Nelson saw that ahead of Glover. Experience against innocence there, perhaps. Houghton, Barnes. Houghton goes again, he's through. Ray Houghton. Mann and Speckman combining beautifully. McMahon's shot. Barnes hit the post. Beardsley, he seems to be able to find space and find Aldridge. And that is another superb Liverpool goal. Beardsley. And now he goes alone. Still Beardsley. Hit the bar. Barnes. Working it to Houghton. Aldridge. Gillespie. Barnes against Chettle. Oh, look at Barnes here. They're waiting for the pullback. Beardsley. Oh, a glorious goal again. Oh, well played, Speckman. And Beardsley. And Speckman. And Aldridge. It's 5.
That 5-0 crushing of Nottingham Forest was described by Tom Finney as the finest exhibition of football he'd seen. It stands as a monument to the standards Liverpool have set and which their fans have come to expect. They went on to win the league by 9 points. In 1989, the year of Hillsborough, Liverpool lost the championship to Arsenal, who won 2-0 at Anfield with a last-minute goal by Michael Thomas to take the title on goal difference. But in 1990, Liverpool were top again. They made it 18 championships, with Hansen equalling Phil Neal's record of 8 championship medals. Behind the scenes, Chief Executive Peter Robinson and Chairman Sir John Smith were the policy makers in an 18-year period that brought 11 league titles. They believed in the word continuity. But Kenny Dalglish's 8th championship as player and manager was his last. In 1991, with Liverpool top of the First Division, he resigned. One of the most astonishing days in Liverpool's history.
Now, Kenny and I went to a reserve game at Southport on a Tuesday night, and I mean, I never knew he was going to resign, and that his actions that night were not of a man that was about to resign. I mean, he was just like his old self. So on the Wednesday they play Everton in the Cup. He actually phoned me on the Thursday night. He phoned me, and I was out. I'd go out for a meal. So he left a message to phone him when I got in, but I came in late, didn't phone. So the next morning, there was a meeting. And of course, I wondered what the meeting was about. And he just came in and he said, "Thanks for everything you've done, lads. I'm resigning." I don't think he was that well. I mean, I think the pressure got to him. And if you look at pictures of him now, or you see him in real life now, to the pictures the day he resigned, it's like night and day. He's totally relaxed now, where then you could see the strain in his face. I mean, it came as a total shock to everybody. But I think we all knew that he was under a lot of pressure. And this is a big pressure job, the manager at Liverpool. I mean, the last season that I played, I felt the pressure more than any other season that I played in, simply because we're going for a championship. And people were saying, when we won it, they're saying, "So what? You've won it before, you won it again." And that's the standard you've got to keep up here. You've got to go out and do better the next season you've done the last season. And again, it's a big, big pressure job being a manager here.
Graham Souness is well aware of that. Winner of 5 championship medals as a Liverpool player, he succeeded Dalglish in the manager's chair, intending to add his name to that special roll of honour. Men who have guided Liverpool Football Club to those 18 First Division titles in 100 years.